Okay, I think I'm live on YouTube too. Oh gosh. Let me know if you can see me and hear me. I don't know why my camera is so blurry, but I'm trying. Okay, I finally figured out how to use my webcam on YouTube. So go me. I'm really curious to know what's the software that people use to do live streaming on YouTube. If you guys want to let me know that, then that would be great because I just spent like 10 minutes looking that up. Okay. Hi, TikTok. Hi, YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, my TikTok is Dream Styling NYC. And if you're watching this on TikTok, my YouTube is Renacita. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a few seconds and I don't know how I feel about this webcam on YouTube. Maybe I should have gone live on my phone. You guys let me know how it looks and if you could hear me. Can you hear me all over there? Okay. Honestly, I have a lot of respect for people that live stream now because I see like how different it is from making like recorded videos. I have a newfound respect for live streamers. You guys are like the bee's knees. Okay. So yeah, thank you guys for joining the live on YouTube, on TikTok. We're talking about leveling up our relationships. So I did a few lives this week on what did we do? We did level up our bad habits earlier this week. We also did we did a few. So today we're going to be talking about leveling up our relationships and our friendships. That's today's topic. If you're watching this on YouTube, my TikTok is Dream Styling NYC. If you're watching this on TikTok, my YouTube is Renacita. I'm also streaming this on my YouTube channel. It's going to be recorded on there if you end up having to get off or whatever. But yeah, today we're talking about leveling up our relationships. That's today's topic, leveling up our relationships, right? Not only our romantic relationships, but our friendships too. So that's what our topic's going to be. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I highly recommend following me on TikTok too, because it's going live on there. And I think I go live right now more on TikTok than I do on YouTube. So definitely follow me on there. But yeah. All right. Anyways, so back to the topic, right? We're talking about leveling up our relationships. And for people who are just joining this who don't follow me on my TikTok page, my page is all about like personal development, inner work style videos, kind of like life coaching vibes. So if that's your thing, then this live is for you because we're going to be talking about leveling up our relationships. I don't know where to look because I have two cameras, so I'm sorry if it looks awkward. What was my major? English literature was my major, and right now I'm studying journalism. I'm just taking a class though. I'm not fully in the program. I also have my life coaching certificate and license. Okay, yeah. Yay, I'm live on YouTube. I finally figured out how to use my webcam. I'm like really proud of myself. So, leveling up our relationships. Earlier this week, we were talking about breaking bad habits. We also were just talking about in general, like leveling up this spring, and we had a really good live. I think I got it on my channel. If you missed it, it should be on my channel. But today we're talking about specifically leveling up our relationships. And I want to talk about friendships and romantic relationships because your environment definitely affects how ambitious you feel on a daily basis. And with that being said, your relationships also affect how you feel too. And I actually want to start off by talking about friendships. I know a lot of people like to focus on like romantic relationships and stuff. I feel like that's the kind of content that goes the most viral is like dating advice and like, I don't know about you guys, but my For You page is like how to get him obsessed, like all of this like I don't know, not I don't know how to say it, but like I never asked, but like it's still on my For You page. So I know that like the dating stuff goes pretty like viral and pretty crazy on TikTok, but I want to talk about leveling up our relationships in terms of our friendships too, because I feel like our friendships really have a way of affecting us as well. So let me know if you guys know what I mean, because the same way that a relationship can go wrong and a relationship can kind of make you question yourself and have insecurity, I feel like our friendships have a way of doing that too if we're not around the right people. So that's why I want to talk about leveling up our relationships. And She said, "That's what I can think of with all of these things online." Okay, yeah, I feel you. Like, you just never ask, but somehow it's in your face. Yeah, I know. That's kind of the thing with TikTok. Like, it's fun, but at the same time, if we're not mindful of how much time we're spending on it, it's almost like we have all of these things in our brain that, they weren't there to begin with. What are your top 3 pillars in a relationship? Example, friendship. Do you mean top 3 things I value in relationship? I'm curious to know what you mean. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm also live on my TikTok. We're talking about leveling up our relationships. We're going to start by talking about friendships. My top 3 values in a relationship, I would say, I mean, I don't know, it's very hard to narrow it down to 3, but I would say consideration is like my love language. I posted that on my Instagram. I feel like it went over people's heads, but I was like, it's kind of deep. Is that deep or no? But I feel like consideration is a pretty good way of gauging how much somebody cares about you and respects you. And also, I would say, like having similar values. So I feel like that varies from person to person. But like if I'm with someone and we have similar like outlook on life because we have similar values, then I think that works out. So I would say consideration, values, and respect. I feel like respect should be a part of all relationships, romantic or friendships. You remind me of Sierra Ramirez. Is that the girl from? I think I know who that is. What show is she on? Can you remind me? Okay, yeah. So we're talking about leveling up our relationships this spring because I don't know about you guys, but I love the springtime. I feel like spring is like about introducing the new. It's kind of like a season of like rebirth. And after this live, I'm gonna do my spring cleaning. I feel like cleaning is where I'm kind of like, okay, sunglasses. I'm new to doing lives. I don't really know how they work, and like it's fun, but I don't understand like what when my face changed. What does that mean? The Fosters, yeah. Okay, yeah. So I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, she's really beautiful. I get the most comparison I get is Selena Gomez and hold on, my computer's tripping. Oh my gosh. Um I have a mustache now. Okay. How do people stay focused on these lives? Because this is just so distracting. Okay, let me finish what I was saying. Okay. Set a mustache, hearts, respect 100%. All right, respect right back to you, girl. Okay. Anyways, sorry that I got distracted, but yeah, we're talking about leveling up our relationships, right? We're going to talk first about leveling up our friendships because I feel like the people in your life, they definitely have a really big impact on you. And I also feel like they can hold you back sometimes if you're not careful. So I want to start by talking about friendships and you guys let me know what you think. So, first of all, this is something that I've kind of been picking up on lately. I don't know if you guys think the same, but you know what I noticed? That sometimes if I can't stop thinking about something, it's also on like other people's minds too, or it's just like a theme like in the it's like in the air kind of thing. So I'm curious to know if you guys have been thinking about this too. But one of the things I want to talk about leveling up your relationships is that like it's it's the best to be in a relationship because you wanna be and not because you have to be, if that makes sense. So, if you're in a relationship because you feel like you have to be there for whatever reason, whether it's like, people have different reasons, but for example, you feel like you need to be in a relationship because you're dependent financially, or you feel like you need to be in a relationship because they're the only person that kinda gives you that, like, ego boost and makes you feel good about yourself, or you feel like you need to be in a relationship because you don't have anybody else to hang out with. So who else are you going to hang out with if you're not with that person? So right away, what I want to say about that is that you're already starting from like a one down position and becoming aware of whether or not you're in a relationship because you actually want to be there or because you feel like you have to be is one of the things you can do to start leveling up your relationships. I don't know what this means. I just got to pop up on my I don't know what that means. So I'm gonna just let it go. But yeah, so leveling up your relationships, right? You want to make sure that you're in those relationships because you want to be there, not because you have to be there. Okay? That's a good first step. And I feel like I don't know about you guys, but like on my For You page too, one of the major trends I'm seeing is like the soft girl life thing. And I know that it's kind of like a popular topic, like, getting a provider man, like, and it's so weird what I'm noticing because on one hand, some of this advice is really practical and like it's been happening before we were born, like for generations, right? Like it's just a traditional kind of relationship where the man is a provider and the woman, is the woman or whatever. But then I feel like there's this really fine line where people are crossing into things that are not like relationship advice, and it's more like I don't know how to say, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I feel like you don't wanna be in a relationship because you feel like you need something from a person, and I feel like sometimes for example, I'm not saying that I know anybody like this, I'm just saying that I see it sometimes on my TikTok where people feel like they have to be in a relationship for money, or like that's the main reason that they wanna be with that person, but in a way, you're knocking yourself a peg down because you're putting yourself in a position where you're in that relationship because you feel like you have to be. And that's why I feel like a lot of people are now kind of chiming in on this topic and reminding women that they also have to have something of their own, and they can't forget that they also need to work and have their own passions, their own interests, their own identity, because like you can't be completely reliant on somebody for something that you literally need to survive. Like, like we need money to survive. So like it's good to know how to get your own and do your own thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, making sure, so I want you guys to like pay attention to what relationships are you putting the most energy and attention into right now? And do you feel like you're there because you want to be there? Or do you feel like you're there because you have to be there? Be honest. Be honest. You want to survive too. We all want to survive. We all want to survive. And guess what? The more you can like provide things on your own, the better of a compliment you'll be to somebody one day. It doesn't have to be so black and white where one person has to do all of the work, right? Yes, love yourself first. Absolutely. Nice painting. Thank you. I love art. Miu, I don't know what that means. Girl, you have such a mature head on your shoulders. I like you already. Thanks so much. I feel like I'm older on the inside than I look on the outside. Kev Hustle 23 said, "Women want us to be pimps now." LMAO. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like we're crossing the line. Like, there's like a gray area that we're crossing into where it's like not about dating anymore. Like, now we're bordering on like the other thing. You know what I'm saying? So everybody has to use their own mind and their own discernment when it comes to some of the advice that's online because it's kind of like a free for all. And I don't want to say it, but I feel like sometimes women are being advised to like, you know, not value relationships, but value money. I'll say it like that. And that can get you in all kinds of trouble. I'm gonna leave it open-ended because I don't want TikTok to report my life. You have to work on yourself first. Absolutely. That's what my page is all about, inner work, right? Um, that's what my ex did to me. She didn't want to be there, but she stayed, then broke up for real, for real. So yeah, like checking your motives when you're in a relationship with people, that's a good way to level up. And also checking other people's motives for being in a relationship with you, because sometimes you have to check people. Not everybody can be around you, especially when you're putting the work into making yourself better. You have to kind of like be careful because some people just want to pick up on that without actually doing the work themselves too. But it's like we all kind of have to, be in on like doing our inner work. You want to be around people that are on your same level or else you're going to feel drained. You know what I mean? That's a huge no-no. What shoes are you wearing today? I'm in my house, so I'm not wearing shoes. And TMI, but I just got a pedicure. Oh, I just invited someone. I don't know what that means. Oh gosh. Okay. If I log off and then log on, it's because I did something by accident. But what did I do? Uh-oh. All right, I'm coming right back. Okay. Yeah. Whoops. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, whoops. I don't know what happened. But yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm live on my TikTok right now. Yeah, I clicked something by accident and it made somebody join my live that I wasn't planning on. But yeah, we're talking about leveling up our relationships, leveling up our friendships, especially. And like I was saying before, you want to be in a relationship not because you have to be there, but because you want to be there, right? That's going to make your relationships feel so much better. That's a good way that we can start leveling up. I'm going to wait for people to join me on TikTok again because I was rudely interrupted by my own mistake. Yeah, so one second, but I think that's really important. right? Being in a relationship because you wanna be there, what do you guys think? And not because you have to be. You know what I mean? Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that if you were on it before and I cut off. I clicked, let somebody co-host. I don't know what that means, and then literally somebody else came on the camera. So my bad, but thank you for the rose. Can somebody explain to me what these TikTok gifts mean? Because I really don't understand. I really don't. And sometimes I get a mustache and stuff, and I'm like, is that good or what? But yeah, we're talking about leveling up our relationships, and we're starting off by talking about leveling up our friendships. And like I was saying before, I accidentally pressed to co-host, and somebody else came on, so I had to log off and then come on. I think they give you money, like it'll build up over time. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. I've been making video for those of you guys who don't follow me, I've been making videos on YouTube for years and I never went live. Like I just started going live this week and I'm like, oh, like this is kind of fun. So now I'm here. I'm also live on my YouTube channel. If you guys want to follow me on there, my YouTube is Renacita. I wish that there was a way to put the name in the, can you type in the chat? Are you able to do that? But you're so beautiful. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My pages are about inner work, personal development, mindset stuff. All of my products are on my page. If you see that link in my bio, you can find my mentorship programs, my inner work journals, my one-on-ones. Everything's on there. So definitely check that out after this live if you are into this kind of stuff. So yeah, leveling up our relationships. So yeah, being in relationships because you want to be there, not because you have to be. You know, you don't want to be in that position at all. We were talking about how sometimes, people get into relationships for the wrong reasons. And, sometimes, but not always, sometimes it's for material things. And I feel like it's not taboo to like want that too. Like that's a natural desire. But at the same time, if you're only in a relationship for that reason, you got to check yourself. You got to check your motives. And you also have to check the motives of other people wanting to be in relationship with you. This is just something that comes with adulthood. I don't think that it's anything wrong to like sometimes really take a hard look at who you're hanging around, who you're in a relationship with, who your friends are, right? So that's how we're working on leveling up our relationships. Number one, making sure that we're there because we want to be, not because we have to be. Right. And also, I feel like, likewise, sometimes people are only in relationships or in friendships because it provides like validation. And when people say validation, I feel like sometimes they are saying validation, but they actually mean something else. So when I say validation, what I mean is that like you're relying on somebody else to make you feel good about yourself or to like fulfill something that you're not able to do for yourself. So I feel like the way that this validation, the need for validation can show up in friendships is like kind of like codependency. I guess codependency shows up in romantic relationships too. But I feel like sometimes we're relying on somebody else to make us feel good about ourselves, to give us something to do. Like sometimes we use relationships inappropriately. We're relying on people to do things for us that we're really supposed to do for ourselves. And this is the most obvious in like romantic relationships. Like, we're waiting for that compliment. We're waiting for somebody to like tell us that we're doing good, tell us that they're proud of us, to recognize our accomplishments, right? But like that kind of stuff can only really come from you, right? You don't want to rely on your relationships for that kind of thing. Why do I still feel emotionally attached to someone that hurt me so much? Well, I mean, I think that's natural. Maybe you just spend a lot of time with that person, you're holding on to memories. And sometimes we think about the past too much. Like, it's okay to think about the present too, think about the future. Um, why do I still feel emotionally attached to somebody who hurt me so much? I think maybe sometimes that comes down to thinking about the past a little bit too much. I heard something about people that are really nostalgic. When people are really nostalgic, that basically means that like they don't believe that there's going to be better in the future, or they're not like fully in the present moment. So do you think that applies to you? Because that's something that I heard. And I feel like when we're really focused on the past, we're like in a place of like nostalgia. And, when you have a lack of new experiences, what naturally happens is that you start to think about your previous past good experiences. So if you want to stop thinking about the past all the time, you need to start creating new experiences for yourself so that you can give your mind like literally not physically, but like literal new things to focus on, because if you have a lack of new experiences, you're always going to think about your past because you don't have that going on right now. So create like new experiences for yourself in any way that you can, even if it's very small things. Like maybe you go somewhere new for coffee, or maybe you do something new, like you try to go out, meet new people, create new exciting experiences for yourself, and naturally you're going to start forgetting about the past. And I actually wrote about this on my YouTube channel, on my Hi YouTube. I'm live on TikTok too, Dream Styling NYC. We're talking about leveling up our relationships. But I actually wrote about this on my community post on my YouTube channel, how like the thing that helped me get over my breakup from last year, which was awful. I'll probably do a story time. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. But the thing that helped me get over this breakup, where literally I spent all of 2024 like in my feelings, totally just like not moving forward in life, completely stagnant, completely just down bad. What helped me finally toward the end of last year was that I made myself so busy. I don't know if this is toxic advice. You guys let me know. But what helped me personally, you guys do you. What helped me when I literally like there was nothing else besides literally like revisiting my spirituality and my relationship with God, like that also helped me tremendously. But what helped was me making myself super busy, super productive. I didn't have nothing going on. I didn't have any kind of motion at that time. That's probably also why I stayed stuck for so long. But I literally gave myself things to do, even if they were like small little things to do every single day. I was either like looking for work or like doing this, doing that randomly, just making sure I got out of my house. That literally helped me move on. So that's my answer to that question. Let me know if that makes sense. Um, Let me catch up. But yeah, we're talking about leveling up our relationships this spring. I mean all the time, but it's spring now, so why not? Me and my friend hate on each other all the time, but we joke about it. I mean, I feel like sometimes that's just people's sense of humor, but I know not everyone has the same sense of humor, so like, I don't know, it doesn't always land. That happens to me too. Perfect teeth, definitely not perfect, but thank you. Selena Gomez, no, not quite. Why are you so pretty? Thank you. Renesita, good morning. Good morning. Been on here for 5 minutes. Nothing has processed. This girl is so fire. Thanks. You're right though. Healthy dopamine. Yeah. Um, what's this? Yes, I agree. Just needed to clarify because I heard that also, but I'll try this for myself. Yeah, I hope that helps. Like we've all been there. We've all been there. Thank you. I'll check out your bio. Yes, guys, please do check out my bio. I have all of my products and services on there. I'm also going to be bringing back my membership program, which is down right now. But as of right now, I have an inner work journal available to you guys. I have a 30-day mentorship program, which is kind of like an interesting program. Read about it before you purchase, but I lowered the price recently to make it more accessible. It's a 30-day program to help you upgrade your mentality and raise your self-esteem. It's catered toward women. I will say that. So definitely consider that when you're looking at it. I also have one-to-ones available through application only. So that's also on my page. And I have a free blog where every single week I'm emailing you guys directly similar topics like this, but it's just like a written newsletter vibes. Should have met me. Okay. Been busy. Being busy isn't bad. It just depends on what busy is. Yeah. I mean, sometimes being busy for the sake of being busy, that can be good or bad. But I'm just saying, like, if you're down bad, if you can't get somebody out of your mind and you're looking for a way to like um distract yourself and like really move on, because sometimes literally we get so stuck on a people or on a situation where it feels like we literally can't stop thinking about them. I'm talking about that kind of person. Make yourself as busy as possible. Give yourself random goals. Get out of your house as much as you possibly can, even if you're just walking nowhere. Like, even if you're just walking around your neighborhood, do that, okay? Because anything is better than just sitting in your room and thinking about the situation over and over again, or thinking about that person. And 9 times out of 10, they're not thinking about you. They're living their life. So you need to live your life too. Yes, that makes total sense. Thank you. You're welcome. She left me because she was unhappy, got back with me for a week, and left again. Hey, on and off is its own sign. If it's on and off, most likely, it's not going to work out. But like I said, we've all been there, so no judgment. Um, yeah. Okay. So leveling up our relationships, right? So we talked about trying not to seek validation. I have videos on this topic on my channel that go more into that if you're curious about like validation. Um, Being in relationships because you want to be there, not because you have to be there. Okay, this is the next thing I wanna say about leveling up our relationships, right? Is that sometimes we're only in a relationship with people because there's some kind of dependency there, okay? And this takes, like, having a level of brutal honesty, okay? And it's like sometimes we don't wanna admit this, but it's just true. It's just true. Like, we play, like, all kinds of mental games on ourselves, right? But, like, you wanna really consider if you're only there because you have some kind of dependency. I feel like no matter what, like, as relationships continue, you're gonna be dependent on each other for certain things, and it doesn't cross the line of being unhealthy, but, like, there is you have to use your own judgment because sometimes we're going too far into the deep end. Okay, sometimes we stay in relationships that we're not supposed to be in for, but not limited to money, right? Like maybe we're there for financial reasons. Maybe we're there for our ego. They give us an ego boost. I feel like a lot of that is in the dating world right now sometimes. I feel like you'll see it because sometimes people are just dating because they want somebody to make them feel good about themselves. They don't necessarily care to like build a relationship. I guess that comes down to being clear about what it is that you want from dating and then only dating people who also want the same things. But one of the things that I see is that people date sometimes just literally for entertainment, just literally to have somebody there to make them feel good about themselves, to make them feel beautiful. So, like, sometimes we're using relationships inappropriately, right? And we want to make sure that we're there for the right reasons. Sometimes we're only in that relationship because of what they can do for us, because of the connections that they can provide for us, like socially, like, and I feel like that's unfortunate, but that's something that you have to really pay attention to. And these all of those relationships that I just mentioned, those are example of like transactional relationships, right? Even codependency is a form of transaction. Even though it's not physical, like it's an emotional transaction. And you want to kind of get away from those when you're trying to level up your relationships. Okay, so that was the first scenario. But if you want to level up your relationships, I would say, moral of the story, be with somebody because you want to be with them, because you enjoy their company, because they add value to your life, and you are there because you want to be there and not because you have to be there. Does that make sense? Be struggling with your relationship? Yeah, relationships take a lot of inner work, a lot of like consideration for the other person, a lot of empathy. If one person lacks empathy, that's gonna be its own thing. So I totally know what you mean. And that's why I tell all of my people that are single and they don't want to be single that like it's not the worst thing. Like it's actually better to be single sometimes and be alone or at least go through that like period of being by yourself than being with the wrong person because being with the wrong person is so much more work. Like they're dealing with things and it's so weird because sometimes we see the image, like we see the picture of like a happy couple, but it's like behind the scenes it's actually like you probably wouldn't trade places with that person. So I just want to say like being single is not the worst thing. Being single is not the worst thing. Okay. So yeah, everything comes with pros and cons. Sometimes we want to be in a different position so bad, but then you get there and you realize like that has its own like there has its own cons there, its own issues. Okay, next, leveling up our relationships. Um, relationships feel better when nothing is forced, right? We don't want to okay, this is what I want to say. We don't want to force our relationships, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship. Nothing feels good when it's forced. Nothing feels good when it's forced. And I feel like a way that we kind of force relationships sometimes is like when we kind of get the hint that somebody's not interested in us, but we just like don't let it go. Like we either can't accept that that's the case or we're just like not understanding and we're trying so hard to make it be a certain way. Like that's kind of a way that we force our relationships sometimes. And if you just let yourself like chill out, stop forcing things and stop trying to control people, like that's a way to level up your relationships too because at the end of the day, relationships feel their best when you can just be natural and be yourself. You know what I mean? So you don't want to be forced. And I have a really kind of funny story time on this. So I don't know. I don't want to be TMI, but basically, like I had I'm gonna say allegedly, hypothetically, right? One time I went on this first date with someone that I was talking to for a little bit, and we were actually like talking for a while, and then we stopped talking because there was one time that he said he was going to come and visit me, and he didn't. And then when I saw him in person, he was like he was wondering why I stopped talking to him. So then I just told him directly, I'm like, I didn't like that you said you were gonna come and you didn't come. And that's all I said. And then he was like, why didn't you say anything? And I'm like, what do I say? You know what I mean? So that's an example of me not forcing it because imagine I text him, "Why didn't you come?" Blah blah blah. Like at the end of the day, I'm almost like forcing somebody to do something where if they wanted to do it, they would have done that. And in the end, it worked out anyway. So like sometimes we have to just like hold back on the need to like force things and like control people to make them kind of do the things that we want them to do. You know what I mean? Better to have somebody do something because they want to, not because they feel like they have to. I feel like that comes up in relationships a lot too. All right, leveling up our relationships, leveling up on our friendships. Hi, YouTube. That's today's topic. We're talking about leveling up our relationships and friendships. Okay. So, yeah, being friends with people just because we don't want to be alone, not it. And canceled. Um, being friends with people only because we want people to go out with, not it. Canceled. Like, and I feel like that's so normalized now, um, where it's like I've heard people say this. I don't know if I agree or disagree. This is what I've heard. People sometimes say that they have friends for certain things, like they have friends to go out with, they have friends that they bring to their family gatherings, they have friends that they've known since they were little and they're like their day ones. And I'm like, this is my personal view. I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I feel like it's better to have a few good friends that you see like once in a while than hang out with like people that you're not really sure are really your friends just so that you don't feel so alone or just so that you have people to go out with. You know what I mean? Like that's personally my opinion. So that's my 2 cents on leveling up your friendships is like I feel like the quality of your friend definitely matters more than how many friends you have because hold on, I just got a pop up on my screen. Hi YouTube. Let me know if you could see me and hear me because I'm trying a new webcam and I don't even know if it's working. But we're talking about leveling up our friendships and relationships. But yeah, what do you guys think about that? I think personally it's better to have a few good friends than have like friends for this, friends for that. Like I don't know. That just doesn't work out for me. But yeah, leveling up our relationships, leveling up our friendships. This live is being recorded and put on my YouTube channel. Okay. So follow me on YouTube, Renesita, Reneecita, same as my TikTok. But yeah, so like if you think about it, leveling up your relationships comes down to understanding that your energy is valuable. So something I've noticed is that I don't want to say this is like the black and white hard rule, but I've noticed that people who have a lot of friends, people who are like in really large friend groups, like the quality of those friendships is kind of like questionable sometimes. And I feel like personally like seen people hang out with people that they don't even like just to have like a I want to say like a filler person. Like if you think about like birthday dinners sometimes, like I feel like birthday dinners with like 30 people, 40 people, like not everyone there is like your close friend, you know. I even had a girl tell me that one time she went to a girl's birthday dinner and she felt like she wanted to leave early because she felt like she was just a filler person. Like she didn't really know that person. So when it comes to leveling up our relationships, leveling up our friendships, I just want to say and remind you guys that your energy is valuable and how you can value your own energy is by considering who you're hanging out with and like not just wasting time, like only spend time with people that literally make you happy, okay, that are a good friend to you. That's how you can level up your relationships by understanding that your energy is valuable. You don't want to just be with anybody, you know what I mean? Value your life, value your energy, value your attention, right? We want to value ourselves and then I think naturally you'll start choosing better relationships for yourself, better friendships for yourself. The people you hang out with says a lot about like who you are. I really do believe that. And I feel like you're not like nobody. Let me know on YouTube if you guys know what I mean by this. I'm not trying to sound harsh or politically incorrect. Okay. I'm just saying that like we need to stop okay, I'll speak for myself and then if you disagree, you let me know. But sometimes we have to understand that we're not above the program. Like what they say about you becoming like the people you hang out with is absolutely 100% the truth. Okay. I used to think that way. Like I thought there's a saying, right? What is it? That you're a summary of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. And I don't know why. Like I used to do this thing where like I would hang out with people and I would see maybe some habits or behaviors that I'm like, I personally wouldn't do those things, but I'm like, you do you. And I thought that it wouldn't affect me at all. But the more that time went on, I realized that I started to do those things too. And I had to like literally train myself out of those behaviors, out of doing those things. So it really is true that the people that you hang out with, they say a lot about you. And also, you become like them no matter what. You become like the people that you hang out with. So, sometimes that's not so good. That can work. It's a neutral thing, but it can work for you, it can work against you. If people are doing things around you that you don't necessarily agree with, behaviors that you don't agree with, one way or another, that's going to rub off on you. I'm just saying. And then, like, literally, I heard this thing about how when you're TMI, but like when you're intimate with someone, you guys literally start sharing the same gut microbiome. So that was like really interesting to me, and just a testament to literally becoming like the people that you hang out with. Like literally, your gut microbiome becomes like the person that you are being with, if you catch my drift. So yeah, yeah. The people you hang out with says a lot about you and literally can change the way that you act. It can change the way that you speak. It can change your behaviors. So you really want to be conscious of that. Let me know on YouTube if you guys can hear me and see me. I'm trying out a new camera today. We're talking about leveling up our relationships, leveling up our friendships today on this live. Okay. So, yeah, I wanted to start with friendships because I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough, but we always hear about like dating stuff, right? Okay, the next thing I want to say about leveling up our friendships and our relationships is that sometimes, okay, this is something that I really had to learn. Sometimes, if you're like feeling depressed or you're feeling anxious, sometimes it's not you. Sometimes you're literally picking up on the energy of the people that you're around. That really does happen, and I feel like it goes beyond, like, being an empath. Like, some empaths, they say pick up on people's emotions, people's, vibe, but I literally feel like you can also pick up on people's energy, and I experienced this. I also consider myself an empath too, but I experienced, like, picking up on people's feelings, not only their feelings, but also, like, their thoughts and their energy and, like, their vibe multiple times, and I didn't realize that that wasn't coming from me. Like, it took me a long time to pick up on the fact that that wasn't me, like, that was them, and it was, like, little things that I just started to, like, I started to think that I had issues, that it was my personal problem, but it was literally, like, energy that I was picking up on, if that makes sense. So we want to be careful of who we're hanging out with and level up our relationships and our friendships in this way, because we can literally pick up on other people's thoughts, on other people's emotions, other people's behaviors. And one of the most, it can either be really dangerous or it can really work for you. Sometimes you literally pick up on the way that people view the world. So that can be a really impactful thing if they're not in like the best mindset. And I feel like especially for people that are into personal development work, that are into doing their inner work and working on themselves and like, experiencing that kind of growth mindset, that can be especially impactful because what we do all this work on ourselves, we're trying to be our best, and then we're hanging around people and picking up on their stuff because they're not doing the work on themselves, and then we're kind of sabotaging ourselves. So we have to kind of be aware of that and consider that when we're leveling up our relationships and our friendships. Okay, something's popping up on my screen and I don't know what it means. So I think I'm going to come off and then come back on. So 1 second. Oh my gosh, I forgot that I'm live on YouTube. Whoops. Okay, 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. I'm gonna get better at live streaming, I promise. Okay. Yeah. So, whoops. It's like my second time ending my live stream. So sorry about that. Yeah. I'm so sorry about that. I forgot that I was live on YouTube. I'm live on TikTok now too. That's kind of why I'm looking over here. But yeah, on my TikTok, if you're just now joining, we're talking about leveling up our relationships, leveling up our dating life. And if you have any questions or anything you want to add, put it in the chat. I'm new to live streaming, but I want to do this more often. And so far, what we talked about was that you want to put yourself in a position where you're in a relationship because you want to be there, not because you have to be there. So sometimes we're entering relationships for, transactional reasons, whether we're there for financial reasons, for our ego and feeling validated by them, or needing that reassurance, knowing what they can do for you, needing those connections, having that kind of transactional energy versus being with someone because you want to be with them and actually enjoying their company, right? Two different things. So that was the first thing that I said about leveling up our relationships and leveling up our friendships. What do you guys think about that? And let me know anything you want to add to this conversation of leveling up our relationships and leveling up our dating life, right? On my TikTok live, we were also talking about how relationships feel better when you want to be there, not because you have to be there, because nothing feels good when it's forced. You don't want to force your friendships. You don't want to force your relationships. You don't want to force people to act a certain way when they don't want to be that way. Like, that's freaking exhausting. Trying to control people all the time and control our situation all the time and force things is totally, totally exhausting. Being friends with people just because we don't want to be alone, we don't want people to go out with, we don't want to do that either. I feel like it's better to have like a few good quality friends than to just have like people on call to go out like whenever, quality over quantity. I know that not everybody thinks that way. So I'm not going to put that on people. I'm just saying personally for me, that's what works. You have to figure out what works for you. But you let me know in the chat what you guys think about that. Also, on my TikTok live, we were talking about, hi TikTok. Sorry, I keep ending it and coming back on because something keeps popping up on my screen. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm catching up my YouTube on what we were talking about on our live earlier about leveling up our relationships and our dating life. We were also talking about how, okay, this is where I left off before I ended my live on TikTok, was how sometimes we literally pick up on not only people's energy, I feel like that's what they call empaths, right? But literally, we can pick up on people's behaviors, we can pick up on people's outlook on life, on their energy, on their thoughts, just by hanging around them constantly. And that's what they mean when they say that you become like the people that you hang around with. And I feel like the most harmful thing and the most beneficial thing that ever happened to me in terms of my relationships was how people's outlook on life literally impacted me. So I've been on both sides. Like, I've been in a relationship where their outlook was so like not good that it altered me. Like, it was like a hindrance to me when I was trying to like build stuff. Like, I felt like dragged down by the relationship. I've also been on the other side where I've picked up on the mentality and like the thoughts and the energy of like people that are actually benefiting my life, like mentors, like, really inspirational friends, even sometimes, but especially I've benefited a lot from mentorship. That's why my YouTube channel is all about mentorship, personal development, inner work, because I literally understand how much a person's outlook on life can literally like impact you so much and change your life because, you know, the way that you see the world impacts a lot of things. Okay, let's see. Sorry about ending the live earlier. I trying to figure out how to go live at all. But let me know if you know what I mean in the comments on YouTube. Hi YouTube. We're talking about leveling up our relationships, our dating life. Okay. It's going to be recorded if you missed the earlier part of this live. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we're talking about leveling up our relationships. And yeah. So back to the topic. Right. So the next thing I want to say is that this can also be a good and bad thing, right? Like, when it comes to leveling up your relationships, leveling up your friendships, we have to understand projection. What is projection? Uh, I feel like people hear projection and they think automatically this is a bad thing. Like, people are projecting on me because it can be a bad thing, right? People can project their insecurities, people can project their fears, not even in a way where they're trying to harm you, but just in a way of like that's how they think, so they're going to share how they think with you because you're hanging out with them. And likewise, it can be a very I feel like sometimes, okay, let me know if you guys know what I mean when I say this, but sometimes we can project onto people the way that we are, and I feel like we need to stop doing that. Especially that was like one of the hardest lessons I learned in 2024 was that not everybody thinks the way that you do. Not everybody's going to have the same kind of outlook as you. And I feel like once you start really getting into doing your inner work and doing your personal development, you get to this point where it's like you feel more positive, right? You're starting to feel the benefits of like, changing your behaviors, changing your thoughts, changing your habits. And then, you just assume it's just like a natural thing. We assume people think the same way, people have the same views, the same level of consideration, the same respect, and that's not true. So I feel like we have to learn in order to level up our relationships and our dating life too that everyone is so different. Everyone has a different way of like viewing the world, and you have to kind of let people reveal who they really are and like stop with the projection of like what you think they might be, or and even further than that, even deeper than that, stop assuming that they're like you because that's not always true. That's not always true. That's something that I really had to learn. Like people what is this? Okay, now I have hearts on my face. I'm still figuring out how live works, but let me know if you know what I mean because one of the harshest things, I feel like 2024 was that year that literally like grabbed me by my freaking shirt, pulled me back and said like, "Girl, wake up. Like wake up, okay? This is the real world. Welcome to the real world. Not everybody's like kind, not everybody cares. Most people don't care. A lot of people have their own things that they're dealing with. A lot of people aren't really like working on themselves, doing their thing. So I had to learn that last year, and I had to learn to stop projecting onto people that they are how I am because that's not always true. Not everybody thinks the same way. Not everybody's going to be, I mean, assuming that you're kind, right? Not everybody's going to be as kind as you. Not everyone's going to have that same consideration. Something I noticed, which is kind of, it makes me sad, but it just goes to say a lot about how it just opened my eyes. I'm not even going to say it made me sad. I'm going to say it opened my eyes. Like, I would meet new people, right? And I'm not always like in a good mood. I'm a human being, right? But I am naturally like bubbly. I am naturally normally in a good mood. When I'm not in a good mood, I'll spend time alone until I get over that. Like I'm really conscious and aware of not taking that out on other people because I already know how that goes. So, one of the things that kind of opened my eyes last year was how like I would meet new people and I was just being myself. Like and they thought I was being fake. They would literally think I was being fake because I was just being kind. I had somebody say, and I made a video about this on my TikTok. I had somebody say to me that like, oh, you don't have to always be that way. Like, you can turn it off when you're with me. And I was like, turn what off? Like, turn what off? Like, this is who I am. Like, this is not a facade. I'm not acting like I am actually happy. I am actually kind. And it just made me sad to think that people are fake. Like, there's people who think you're being fake just because you're being kind, because you're in a good mood, because you're bubbly. I don't know. Yeah, people aren't used to it. Exactly. And it's really weird. And it's like that Party Next Door song where he's like, what did he say? He was like, "I got pill popping bitches in the back of the Cherokee. Bitches still don't know how to react to sincerity." Like that's literally how I felt in that moment. But yeah, people aren't even considerate these days. Yeah, you have to be really careful who you're hanging out with. And I feel like I had to also do inner work on myself because it's like I don't want to be super paranoid to the point where I'm closing off to the world and like isolating myself because that's no way to live either. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I had to wake up and realize that not everybody is like that. Not everybody is nice, not everybody is considerate, not everybody is empathetic. You know what I mean? You are who you surround yourself with. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're talking about today. Someone said, "Hell no, that's why I care for those who care for me unless they show me otherwise." Okay, I respect that. Renee, you are such a blessing. Thank you. Or have the same morals. Yeah, bingo. or have the same morals. Not everybody has the same morals. Ooh, if I could summarize 2024 in a nutshell, it was learning that not everybody has the same morals as me. Okay, honey, my eyes were opened. Okay, I learned that definitely. Not everybody has the same morals, not everybody has the same values, not everybody is mature. Thank you for saying that. Absolutely, not everybody is mature. I had to learn that. I was going around thinking that everybody was like me, everybody thought the same way as me. Not to say that I'm the golden standard and that I always know what I'm talking about, because I don't. Every day I'm learning. But for the most part, I am trying to be better. I am trying to grow. I try to correct myself when I'm wrong. You know what I mean? I grew up, very spiritual. I do have like the maturity, and I was assuming everybody was like that. Everybody had the same kind of consideration, the same morals, the same views. No, no. And if you're lucky, you get to meet people on a similar vibe as you. But the reality is that it's a mixed bag once you step out into the real world. You know what I mean? That's facts. Yeah, absolutely. Too many judgmental people too. This is what I want to say about that. I was actually going to get to that later in the live, because we are talking about relationships and friendships. That's the topic for today's live on YouTube if you guys are just joining, or on TikTok. But the thing I want to say about judgmental people is that, like, how do I say? Like, basically, like, your judgments hold you back. So, like, if you judge somebody for like having something or being a certain way, you just created something in your mind where you're gonna now judge yourself if you were to do that thing, if that makes sense. There's more I want to add to that. I can't think of it right now. It's in my notes, but I'm gonna go back to that. I'm just trying to catch up to the comments. But yeah, someone said we have to understand God first. Don't let that pass your head. Yeah, exactly. But like I said, not everybody has the same morals. Um, not everybody has the same view. Okay, hold up. I'm just trying to catch up, and then I'm gonna keep going on. Um, yeah, no, because you have to do that sometimes. You are perfect the way you are. Thank you. God says, "Come out from among them." Yep. Yes, He does. Yes, He does. Don't be afraid of isolation. Don't be afraid of feeling like an outcast sometimes, because that's literally biblical. Yeah, I've been learning that too. Do you believe in Jesus? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So back to the topic, right? We're talking about leveling up our relationships, leveling up our friendships. My computer is totally tripping right now. 1 second. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I was saying, that we have to stop projecting onto people at least the way that we are, because that's not always true. Everybody's really different. And as much as sometimes, like, we can be in a position, I don't know if you guys experience this too, but sometimes we literally want people to do better. Like, we just want to, like, tell them everything we know. And, like, we want to see them succeed so bad that we just want them to get on the same, like, at least mentality as us in that area. At least, I'm not saying anyone's perfect, but it's like sometimes you have to accept that people aren't ready for that. Like, some people don't want that. Some people don't want to, they don't want to be better, like, or they're not mentally ready, or they literally don't think that they're capable, and that's okay. You got to let people be where they are, right? That's part of leveling up your relationships and your friendships too, is just letting people be where they are. Like, let them be who they are too. When you stop projecting onto them and you stop assuming that they're supposed to be like you, or like they have the same view, and you just let them kind of be who they are, and then go based off of what they're showing you and not what you're projecting onto them or hoping that they could be. I feel like that especially happens in dating, where we meet someone. Obviously, what binds us when we're dating, for the most part, at first at least, is attraction, right? But then it becomes this other thing where, like, we're projecting our fantasies onto this person, and it's like, you got to let them actually show you who they are too, sis. Like, you can't just assume that they're going to fulfill your fantasy. And I did that too, so I'm not judging. I'm just saying you gotta let people be who they are too. Okay. Yeah. So we're talking about leveling up our dating and our relationships. If you're joining me here on YouTube, let me know if you could see me and hear me. But yeah, that's something that I definitely had to learn to stop doing, was projecting onto people. And I was saying this in my other live, which I'm so sad didn't get recorded and put on my channel because it was so poppin'. Like, ugh, Just take my word for it. My last live was popping, okay? And we were talking about how basically like the quickest way to get over someone is to stop including them in your fantasies. I'm gonna let y'all sit with that, okay? If you're ever stuck on somebody and you're trying to get over them, step number one. Step number one. I should probably write a guide on this. Maybe I will. Check out my journal on my page, by the way. I have all of my products and services on my page, my mentorship programs, my inner work stuff, my one-on-ones. All of that's in my link on my in my page. But I was saying, like we were saying in my last live, the quickest way to get over somebody is to stop including them in your mental fantasies, okay? And that's coming from a Pisces. I'm admitting that, like, this is facts because once you start fantasizing about a person, once you start including them in like your visions for the future, and like you're totally like, you're not even, it's not even about the person anymore. Now you are attached to a non-existent situation like that you're hoping will come true one day. So if you're really trying to get over someone, if you're really trying, not even if you're trying to get over someone, if you just want to reclaim your time, your energy, your attention, stop with the fantasizing, okay? Stop including them in your fantasy and really start looking at people for who they are. I'm guilty of this AF, okay? I feel like that's how people get stuck in the wrong relationships for so long, is because they are fantasizing. They are like projecting their fantasies onto the person. They're not really seeing who they are. I'm totally guilty of this too. I'm not like, I'm just sharing, okay? It's not like I haven't done this myself. Wise and beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Gotta stop trying to compare to. Gotta stop. You mean trying to stop? What do you mean by that? Like stop comparing past relationships to who you're dating now, because that's tea. That's definitely tea. And I think I was gonna get to that later in this live because that's so true. And I feel like that's what holds a lot of people back from meeting somebody new, is that they keep trying to compare them to like who they dated before. And I guess that just comes down to soul ties, right? But like there's a way to like release those, like I don't know. I feel like people, why, I don't even understand. If you really take a step back, when it's not you, it's so easy to really start thinking about this stuff. When it's you and you're in the situation, it's like, I don't really know what to do. But like, if you think about it logically, you take a step back, right? Why would you compare somebody that you're meeting new, a new person that you're meeting in this moment, to somebody that you already tried it out with and it didn't work out? What's the point in that? Aren't you looking for somebody new? Isn't that why you're on that new date? Isn't that why you're seeking out a new friendship, a new relationship, because that one didn't work? So isn't different good? Why are we always looking back? That's another thing we got to stop doing. We got to stop looking back, right? Um yes, exactly. Thank you. Have a good day. You too. I feel Someone said true, right? It's so true. It's so true. And someone said earlier, like, how do I get over being so attached to somebody I dated in my past? And I'm like, people that are nostalgic and are always thinking about the past, the reason they're doing that and they're stuck in that cycle mentally is because they low key believe that there's not something better coming. And that's because they're not allowing themselves new experiences in the present moment, if that makes sense. So, like, the more new experiences you have, the more new people you meet, the more new places you go, naturally your brain is going to start thinking about those things. When you don't have enough new experiences, new energy, you're going to always try to go back, and your brain is going to try to find the last time that it felt that high of like being happy or being content, or even sometimes the high of a negative in a relationship. Your brain will constantly keep going back because you're not giving it enough to focus on right now. You're not stimulating it enough right now. You're not giving yourself new experiences. That's how we get caught up in the past, because 9 times out of 10, nostalgia, like they say, nostalgia is a liar. Like things weren't better back then. Even I think that's biblical, like where it's like, never ask why were things so much better in the old days. It's not an intelligent question. Like that's literally in Proverbs. It's really not. Like we all collectively have to stop looking back, right? And also, like, yeah, I really agree with that. I'm not gonna lie. Whoever said that, thank you, because that was inspiring. You just inspired me. Okay. Um, being being single is the only way. Humans aren't meant to be in relationships. That's one way to look at it. I don't know if I agree with it, but it depends values are, right? Because people have different takes on that, but thanks for sharing yours. Yeah, you don't know what people think. Absolutely. You cannot put yourself in somebody else's mind and think that you know what they're thinking. That's why, like, overthinking when we're dating and stuff, like, it's so tempting and it happens so often because we're just trying to, like, we're feeling that uncertainty, that anxiety. But, like, at the same time, but you can't really put yourself in that person's mind. So I feel like I do this thing where sometimes I'm overthinking. I'm trying to figure out, oh, what are they thinking? What are they gonna do? What are they doing today? And it's like after a while, I have overthought myself to death. Like I'm just so tired that I literally go like this. You know what? I don't even care. I don't even care because you can't, no matter how hard you try, you will never know what somebody is thinking. You gotta, and also it's a waste of your own life. It's a waste of your own energy to always be trying to figure out what somebody else is thinking. You gotta take that energy back, put it back into yourself and like use it for something that's actually gonna benefit you because you're never gonna know what somebody else is thinking, how somebody else is like viewing the world, unless they share it with you. But even then, they could be not truthful. So it's just not a good use of time. And also on that same topic, like if you think about it, like the tarot cards and like all of that, like future predicting and stuff, like isn't there something to be said about actually enjoying not knowing everything right now? Like, do you really want to know everything? Like, do you really want to know how things are going to play out step by step? Like, sometimes it's fun to just see what happens. Can we just bring that back? Like, that will resolve a lot of our anxiety and our overthinking if we just start accepting that. It's kind of fun to not know everything right now. We don't need to know everything. Like, dang. Change is inevitable, growth is optional. I like that. I'm gonna write that down. That might be a title for one of my next YouTube videos. Someone said, change is inevitable, growth is optional. That's facts. Growing is a choice. Not everybody has that growth mindset. That's something else I had to learn. And that's also tied to faith. Yep. Facts. Someone said no. I want to know everything. Okay. She said, get the girl that wants you. Are you talking about dating? Everybody is different. Yeah, absolutely. How do you get rid of soul ties? That's like such a big question. And I feel like that comes down to what you believe in because depending on if you're religious or not, it looks differently. But if you are religious, then, you know, follow what your religion says because I don't think that's something that you can mentally do if you're like, I mean, there's levels to it because sometimes we can literally be experiencing spiritual consequences of our past relationships and we're not even aware of what's happening. Like, I didn't know what I was dealing with until I started learning more about like spirituality and what my religion, I'm Christian, what my religion personally says about soul ties. Until I started learning about that and like the actual consequences, that's when I started to get rid of the soul ties in my life. But part of it is like, I think the first step in getting rid of soul ties is give yourself a break from relationships for a hot minute, okay? Just take a time to yourself and process your past relationships if you have the privilege of being single. People think being single is a, what's it called? A burden or like, you know, oh, I'm single. Like I understand like sometimes you feel like maybe you're not going to find someone. I have those moments too. But being single is also a blessing, right? And I feel like when you're single and you have that time to yourself, you can process the mistakes that you've made in the past, get rid of soul ties based on what your spiritual beliefs say. But the first step, aside from spirituality and like going from there, I would say is spending some time by yourself and just thinking about where you went wrong, you know? Not in a way of like being hard on yourself, but in a way to be wise for the future and not repeat the same mistakes because it's yeah, we have to be more conscious of who we're getting into relationships with. I love that she said, "I want to know everything." It's just so funny. Okay. If you're that was so funny. If you're watching this on TikTok, I mean on YouTube, let me know if you can see me and hear me because I'm trying out a new camera. I know it's not as good as my mobile, but I feel like I'm still on live. So let me know what do you guys think of this topic. We're talking about leveling up in dating and relationships. If you're watching this on my TikTok, my YouTube is Renacita. We talk about mindset, personal development work, right? Someone said, hey, I want to know everything. That made me crack up, girl. Oh my gosh, Jesus. Amen. Hey, look who it is. Hey, we're on live today. Um, okay. All right, back to the topic. Am I ready to date? No. That's why I'm happily single right now. I do go on dates sometimes just to like stay open because I'm trying not to be closed off. But right now, I'm enjoying my solitude. What about you guys? Jersey in the building. Hey, Jersey. Being single is the best. Being single is pretty cool. I was actually, and I feel like maybe it wasn't, I did one of those things where it wasn't the right time or place, but I still said it. So, but it was kind of funny because like I was literally on a date and then I was talking to the guy I was on a date with, like about how cool being single is. And I'm like, "Oh, I hope he didn't take that the wrong way, because like, I was enjoying the date, but I was just telling him, like, yeah, I was in relationships, and at first, after my breakup, I was dreading being single. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna find someone." Like, I was doing the whole thing. And now that I'm like I think next month it will be a year that I've been officially single. I have gone out on dates, like, I haven't been completely, like, you know, not in tune in that way, but now finally I'm enjoying being single. It's pretty fun. I'm like, "Dang," like, I was dreading nothing. Someone said being single is wild for real. Yeah, it can be. I mean, I feel like it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. Some days it's fun. Sometimes it's like, hey, I can do whatever I want. Like ain't nobody checking for me. I can come home whenever I want. I don't have somebody checking on me. And then also on the same time, it flips on you like, dang, nobody's checking on me. Nobody's checking on the kid. But it depends on the day how I feel about it, but I don't think it's the worst thing. I think the one of the hardest things is when you're in a relationship with the wrong person and you're just trying to make that work come hell or high water when it's not meant to be. Like that's just a different kind of mental anguish and anxiety that, when I'm complaining on my days that I'm like thinking about being single as like a problem, I think about those times and I'm like, you know what? It's not that bad actually. Someone said being single is a great time to reflect. Absolutely. That's kind of where I am right now. That's why I'm not rushing it. But at the same time, like relationships are fun too. Like I'm not gonna lie. Have you seen the spirit faces and shit? What do you mean the spirit faces? What do you mean by that? You can't get rid of soul ties. I mean, that's something you can't easily get rid of. It's not something to easily get rid of. Absolutely not. Like I was saying earlier, it definitely depends on your religious beliefs. But I think that spending time in solitude is a good way to cleanse yourself from past connections. What do you think about that? Someone said, "Can you hear the spirits talking to you or not?" I have my moments where I'm like really like in the spiritual. Talking is rare. It happened like once or twice, but I do experience like I am pretty like spiritual, I'm not gonna lie. So I do have like discernment and stuff that and depending on how I'm living, I'll just be completely honest, that's how strong or weak they are, you know? And I saw this TikTok, it was like people say they want spiritual gifts until you leave your house and it starts looking like Courage the Cowardly Dog. And I'm like, that's so real because it can be overwhelming. Like it can be overwhelming if you really saw like the spiritual all the time. Is it okay to compliment you while having this convo? Sure. Of course he did. LOL. What do you mean? They're not gonna like what you're saying. It's okay. They hate the truth. Sometimes that's yeah, facts. Sometimes they hate the truth. Damn, you got friend zone. Someone said, "Damn, you friend zoned him on a date." I wasn't trying to friend zone him. I was just saying. Sometimes I talk about topics, like I talk about ideas, and I'm not really considering the person. I'm just there for like the conversation. And I was just saying how being single isn't that bad, but yeah, wrong time, wrong place because I was on a date. So maybe he took it like I wasn't enjoying it. Hopefully not. I tried to, show him that I was interested. Someone said talking about wait, hold on, I'm trying to catch up. Someone said talking about how being single is so great on a date is diabolical. No, I didn't mean it that way. I was just saying that it's not so bad. Someone said being single time best time to reflect. 5 months single like a dollar bill. All right, go. How's it going? How's it going? I feel like it's not the worst thing. Someone said sounding like Paul in the New Testament right now. You know what? That's a compliment. Thank you. Being single helps you get closer to God. Amen. I think that's literally my testimony right now because that's absolutely true. After my last breakup, I was like, oh, like, I don't know. Like I said earlier in my live, by the way, this whole live is recorded on my YouTube channel if you missed the earlier part. And yeah, so watch it there. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, my TikTok is Dream Styling NYC. We're live on there if you want to see the comments and stuff, because it's more active. Join me on my TikTok, Dream Styling NYC. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Can I even do that? Let's see. Dream Styling NYC is my TikTok. Please join me on TikTok if you have one. Yeah, someone said being single helps you get closer to God. I really do think so. That's personally my story, because what happened, I'm gonna tell you guys a quick story time without putting anyone on blast. I feel like that's art. So let me try my best. But after my last breakup, this is what happened. It wasn't really about the guy, right? It was like awful, but I wasn't even hung up on the guy after the breakup. It was the the principle. Like, I just opened my eyes that people can be a certain way. I never knew that. Like, I never experienced that. So for months I was like hung up over the breakup, but it wasn't about the guy. It was just that now I see how people can be, and that made me feel so down, because I'm like, damn, like people can be very like fucked up, and it has nothing to do with you, and it's crazy. But part of my testimony right now is that, yeah, definitely, like, someone said earlier, being single helps get closer to God, because after that I was like, oh, like, this isn't just like, this is spiritual. Like, that was some like spirit trying to attack the kid. Like, dang. Someone said, hold on, love the studio filter. I have the enhancer filter on. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. Spiritual gifts is a blessing when it's going good, but when it's going bad, it's a curse. Ooh, hold on. I'm going to read that again. Spiritual gifts is a blessing when it's going good, but when it's going bad, it's a curse. It's a lot. That's what I'm going to say about spiritual gifts. It's a lot. And it's like, now that you saw that, now you got to be responsible for what you saw, which is the hard part. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, I'm curious to know if you guys have spiritual gifts too. Someone said that's why you need balance. Absolutely. He said, dude ain't going on no more dates. Well, first of all, the ironic part is that I actually had fun on the date. So I truly hope he did not get that vibe. But, like I said, like Kanye said, might not say how I feel at the right time, might not come when you want, but I'm on time. Hey, like. Someone said, "I've had the same thing happen to me," and I look at the chick, "You just here for free food." Dang. I mean, I feel like, dang. No, I didn't mean it that way. Definitely not. Someone said, "It's been both a blessing, relief, and like I am living a dream numb." That's why I said that TikTok about how having spiritual gifts is like living in Courage the Cowardly Dog, because literally that's it. And the weird part about like being really spiritual sometimes is that, like, only you can only talk about that kind of stuff with certain people. Like, you can't really talk about that with everyone. Like, I used to think that everybody was like that. So I would just like be open and talk about the spiritual things I was experiencing. Like, people know what I'm talking about. But the looks I would get, like, no, it's not true. It's not true. I only share that stuff now with like people that I know are also really practicing their religion and their spiritual beliefs. Because something I also learned, I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm gonna just say my hot take that I've been noticing lately is that sometimes people, they identify with a religion, but what they're really saying and showing, like, more importantly, like through their actions, and even when I'm just talking to them and getting to know them better, is that they're identifying more with like the cultural part of their religion, but not necessarily like their religious beliefs, if that makes sense. And I'm not like pointing this on any one religion. I'm just saying that I noticed that like sometimes people are like more invested in the culture, but not necessarily in like what their doctrine of their actual religion says, if that makes sense. But also that goes with everything. Like, people are just in different places and different levels. Um, Someone said, "How would you level up your relationship with God?" I love that question. I love that. That was a really nice question. I would say start by reading scripture, because I feel like there's no replacement for that. As much as we can go online and hear other people's interpretations, and as much as there's a place for that, there's no replacement for actually reading scripture for yourself, because that's how God creates a relationship with you. So I would say that's a good place to level up your relationship with God, by reading scripture. Someone said, "For real, can you read people's intentions too?" Um, my dumbass sometimes, like, I don't know. I think sometimes I think I can, and then I let people gaslight me, and then I literally start believing that, and I'm like, in the end, I'm like, I should have listened to what I thought in the beginning. So in theory, I'm in theory, I'm trying to get better at that, but, people are tricky. Um, oh my gosh, wow. Why it's so funny how I get on these lives and I go on talking about, like, a topic, but then, like, they get spiritual, but I wasn't even trying to go there, but it's just what happens. I think that's so cool. Um, hold on. 'Cause I was talking about relationships, now we're talking about spirituality. Someone said, "Can you see evil in people's eyes?" Doesn't that I feel like that happens sometimes, and it really, like, freaks me out, and I'm like, "Did anybody else see that?" Like, sometimes I really can, and I do think that saying is true. I don't even think it's scripture, I think it's just, like, a quote that, like, the eyes are the window to the soul. Hell yeah! Because sometimes it's like you can see the kindness in someone's eyes. On the good day, you can see the kindness, you can see the love in their eyes. And then sometimes you see the blank and it's like, okay, that if someone has a blank stare, that's basically telling you that that person's like, numb or like, maybe depressed or just not fully there, right? Like they're lost in their thoughts. And then if you see the evil in people's eyes, it looks different. It looks like just like mischievous, like if you ever get in a fight or like an argument and you see in someone's eyes, like it looks like I don't know how to describe besides just a mischievous look, like that they're enjoying making you upset, if you know what I mean. Like that's the closest thing I've seen to like seeing evil in someone's eyes. And once I see that, I'm like, child, bye. I'm not about to argue with a demon. Someone said, "Are you Christian?" Yes, I am. So pretty much half, I don't know what that means. What do you think of okay, I don't know what these comments mean, but hold on, catching up. So trusting yourself means to have trust in God. Faith without work is dead faith. Yeah, faith without works is dead, definitely. When did you have your first interaction with God? Like how know it came from him? When did I have my first interaction from God? Well, what's so cool is that when you're a kid and you're obviously like you're not in your full maturity, but in some ways you're more open to believing that spiritual things are real. So when I was a kid, I would like pray all the time because I grew up Christian or like, I grew up around that kind of like environment, although like it kind of varied depending on what part of my family. And like I would just pray as a kid. And like when you're a kid, you literally believe anything is real, right? So I feel like God is really close to children in that way. And I would just pray all the time. And I would say that the first interaction I had with God where like really build my faith was when God started answering my prayers that like literally like nobody else would know. Like literally like really, 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 really deep prayers that I prayed for years. And I had like two, like when I was a kid, it was the same prayer all the time, right? That eventually came true. And that was like, okay, that has to be God because it was so specific in how it came true. And then it also happened again in my young adulthood where I would pray about the same situation over and over again. And it was one of those things that is like I almost had to accept that maybe one day is never gonna get better, and then God did that, you know what I'm saying? Like, with God, everything's possible. So I would say answered prayers were my first interaction with God. This is a lonely journey. Luckily, my pops and Thea experienced what us spiritual folks have been through. Yeah, we learn a lot from our elders. That's why it's good to spend time with our elders because they know way more than we do, even though when we're young, we think we know everything. You will know them by the fruits of their spirit. Absolutely. Amen. Um, Hold up. And yeah, people's intentions may be different or may not be the best for you, but you have to go through. Yeah, exactly. And that's just because humans are going to do what humans do. It's nothing personal, really. Um, the through it, God will never put you in something if you didn't feel like you couldn't bring. Okay, I know what you're trying to say, but I think I read it wrong. He said, through it, God will never put you in something if he didn't feel like he couldn't bring you out of it. Yeah, I think it's like with every temptation, God will always provide you a way out or something. So that's definitely true. Um, what are we talking about? We're talking about leveling up our relationships and our friendships, but we just went on like a side rant with hold on one second because something just popped up on my screen. But we just started talking about like spirituality. Okay, back to the topic, right? Leveling up our friendships and our relationships. If you're watching this on my YouTube channel, definitely join on my TikTok too, Dream Styling NYC, and leave any comments you have in the live. We are talking about leveling up our friendships and our relationships. So, all right, this is what else I had to say. So, we were talking about how we need to stop projecting onto people that they are the same way that we are, because that's not always true. And especially if you're like a kind hearted person, if you're a strong person, if you're doing the inner work, if you're invested in your personal development, if you're trying to change your habits for the better or trying to change your situation, you already know, like, you have to stay kind of focused and on the things that are helping you. And sometimes we project on to people the way that we are. So like this can work in a way where it's like, you have a good heart, you know that you have good intentions, you automatically assume that people have those same intentions. No, that's not always true, okay? Like, people are going to do what people are going to do. So we need to stop projecting onto people that they are the same way as us, because that's not always true. And like I said earlier, I had to learn the hard way that not everybody thinks the way that you do. And, sometimes there's a time and place that, like, it pays to be on guard and like protect yourself and be more selective about who you hang around with. And also at the same time, this is the balance, right? This is where the balancing part comes in when it comes to leveling up our friendships and our relationships, is that on one hand, we want to be selective about who we hang around with because we know that they're impacting us on some level, right? But on the other hand, we also want to stay open to meeting new people and making new connections. So it's like a balance of like staying open, but also being on guard, also using your own judgment in order to level up your relationships. Um, Someone said, God literally spoke to me one night when I was alone in the dark after a breakup. I was on the edge. Hey, thanks for sharing your testimony, because I feel like testimonies are really powerful. And that's what he does. That's what he does. God is the ultimate hero. He'll meet you at your darkest and he will, take you from there. And that's why they say that people who are going through grief are sometimes the closest to God in that moment, because he's close to the brokenhearted. That's biblical. Stay vigilant. Some people are givers and some people are takers. Absolutely. That's why I'm saying there's balance between like being open and being kind, but also being on guard. That's part of leveling up your relationships. Someone says, so you're saying cheat first before they do. Got it. That's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. You're gorgeous. Thank you. We're talking about leveling up our friendships and our relationships. So, yeah, there's this really fine balancing act where we have to be on guard and we have to be careful about who we're letting into our life, because they impact us so, so, so much in ways that you wouldn't even begin, like things that I didn't even know about how people could impact me. I'm starting to pick up on. One of those things is that somebody's outlook on life can impact your outlook on life. So I try to be really careful about what is someone's mentality when if it's like a once or twice I'm seeing this person, that's one thing. But when it comes down to spending time with people a lot, like spending long amounts of time with people, seeing them frequently, one of the things you really, really have to pay attention to is, how is this person thinking? What is this person's mentality? How do they look at the world? Because their mentality is going to rub off on you. Their mentality is low key going to become your mentality in some ways. And like I was saying earlier, don't think you're above the program. That literally happens. I don't want to, it's hard because I want to share my experiences, but I also don't want to talk about other people. So, but just know, like, I had to learn that. Like, I thought that certain habits wouldn't rub off on me. I thought, that could never be me. Like, I don't believe in that. I don't do that. Child, please. You are not above the program. Someone said, I poured my all into someone and I felt like it was never enough. I was being spiritually drained. That's another thing. You have to pay attention to how you feel after you hang out with somebody. That's a really good indicator of whether or not that person is meant to be in your life. Someone said, so do you believe in stunning on your ex if you elevate and they don't? I mean, what's it defines stunning, because I consider stunning moving on with your life and doing good, and then one day you don't even think about that person. That's what I consider stunning. But I know some people think of stunning and flexing as like, material, or like, literally like material gain. So it depends on how you define that. But I think the ultimate revenge is just doing better in life and becoming somebody unrecognizable to them, where they don't have access to you anymore. That's what I believe. Um, Yeah, pretty much moving on and enjoying life. Yeah, absolutely. Because the past is the past. And it's good to be neutral about our past relationships and stuff and not be in a place where we feel angry and, we're cursing them and shit. Like, we don't want to be doing that either because they're still getting your attention and energy. Even if you're sending them negative vibes and you're like literally mad at them, they're still winning because you're sending them your attention, your energy. When you can be indifferent and you could say, I don't even care, when you can walk by that person in the street and keep walking, not even stop and say hi, not because you're rude, but because you literally don't care what they're doing with their life because you have your own life, that's the flex, okay? That's the flex. Um, yeah. So, leveling up our relationships, leveling up our dating, okay? Someone said just move forward and focus on building yourself up. Absolutely, because that's all you can do. You can't control other people. All right. So, yeah, paying attention to who we hang around with, staying open at the same time, delicate balance. That's how we level up our relationships and our friendships. If you're watching this on my TikTok and you enjoy topics like this, definitely check out my mentorship programs available on my page. I have a link on my page with my 30-day program, my one-to-one sessions, and also my inner work journal. So definitely check that out on my page. If you're watching this on YouTube, all of my links are always underneath all of my videos if you want to do more personal personal development work, inner work, mindset work. I have a bunch of resources. Check them out underneath my videos. They're always listed under there. Someone said isolation brings elevation. Yeah. Even though it feels, hard sometimes, definitely. I definitely can attest to that. 2024, I don't know about you guys. Can you guys let me know how your 2024 was? Because I did not have a great 2024 and it was honestly awful. But now, the 2025, ooh, I'm having a great year. And I feel like I'm piggybacking off of all of the stuff that I went through last year. And part of that was isolation. So I do think isolation brings elevation, absolutely. Um, I think, there's a purpose behind isolation sometimes, but when isolation becomes habitual and we're like isolated for long periods of time, literally like socially starving, that's not always good either. Someone said 2024 was extremely horrible for so many people. Yo, honestly, that's not the first time I heard that. And every time I hear somebody say that they had a difficult 2024, I'm like, thanks so much for saying that. I thought it was just me. No, a lot of people, a lot of I was talking to someone, he's like, "I don't know one person who had a good 2024." Like, everybody had a pretty hard 2024, so I'm right there with you. Yeah. How's 2025 looking? Okay, we're leveling up our relationships, we're leveling up our dating, okay? We're moving on so far beyond 2024 now, it's crazy. All right, next, leveling up our dating and our relationships. Um, Being in a relationship with someone that's happy. Oh, okay, this is what I wanna say. When it comes to leveling, okay, so we talked about our friendships and stuff, right? We're gonna shift now to talking about dating and relationships. Um, what I want to say is that be in a relationship if you want to be in one, right? If you meet someone and you feel like this might be the person that you're going to invest that kind of energy into, you want to be in a relationship with somebody that's happy with themselves and with their own life. My YouTube is Renesita, Reneecita. I have a bunch of videos just like this. Um, and my TikTok, if you're watching this on YouTube, is Dream Styling NYC. I put it in the chat. Yay, I got hearts on YouTube. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Yay, I didn't know if anybody was here because you guys are quiet, but let me know what your thoughts are. Okay. And if you want to see the chat, join me on my TikTok because it's more active on there. I just started live streaming. I don't know if you guys know that. I made videos on YouTube for so long. Now I'm doing the live stream thing. So also, if you're watching this on my YouTube, can you let me know what is the platform people are using for their live streaming? Because I don't know what they're using. Like, when they have the cool little thing in the corner and they can see the comments popping up? What platform is that? I was trying to look on that so I can be better at live streaming on my YouTube channel because I know this camera isn't the best. But thanks for watching anyways. I appreciate it. Okay, let's see. Um, it's gonna get better. Don't trip. Yeah. Right. Positivity. I love it. Okay. Okay. So yeah, like I was saying, you want to be in a relationship with somebody that's happy with themselves and with their own life. I feel like I was bamboozled more than one time, okay, getting into a relationship where it looks like they're happy, it looks like they're doing good, like, on the outside, everything looks good, and then it's, like, weird because it's, like, the more it's, like, the more that you get to know the person, you're like, "Oh." Like, this is not giving what I thought it was gonna be giving, like, come to find out the person has all kinds of issues, but more importantly, because there's, there's issues that you can resolve just by changing your habits, right? And then there's issues that just go a little bit deeper where it's like, "Oh, like, that's a really deep core issue that you need to work on that I cannot resolve for you." So I feel like a lot of the struggle can be kinda like, eliminated when you just enter into a relationship when you know that that person when you've taken the time to get to know that person first of all, but also you know that that person is happy with themselves, they're happy with their own life, like, they have their own thing going on, they have their own motion, they're not gonna be relying on you to, like, provide that for them, and vice versa, you don't wanna be that person that's, like, relying on somebody else to make them happy all the time or on their own life. And I was watching this YouTube video yesterday about this girl. She was sharing like, I don't know, I'm on like the inner work side of YouTube. And this girl was saying that how she really upgraded her self-esteem and stuff, especially when it comes to dating, was that she used to date these guys that were like really successful. And then when she would date them, she would basically like she didn't have her own life. She basically would live their life with them. And because their life was full of all this kind of stuff, she was kept busy. But she was saying how when they were gone, like say they would go on a trip or something, she felt like she didn't have anything. Like she would just stay by her phone and text the person, see what they are doing, wonder what they are up to, because she doesn't really have anything of her own. So that was a perfect example of like, not only do you have to make sure the person that you are entering into a relationship with is happy with their own life, because that could open so many issues for you, you have no idea. But you also have to make sure that you are happy with your own life when you enter in a relationship as well, because you don't want to be relying on somebody for things that you can only provide to yourself. And someone said, "You're beautiful." Thank you. Someone said, "Not to sound toxic, but as a man, you shouldn't rely on anybody for anything ever." Yeah. I mean, I think that's just the truth. I don't think that's toxic. Um, I feel like people should give because they want to, not because they feel like they have to. And also, yeah, I think that's true. I don't think that's toxic at all. Okay. So, yeah, I want to say you want to make sure that that person is happy with their own life. They're content with their own life, okay? Because you don't want them to put responsibilities on you that shouldn't really be up to you to fulfill. Like that's how we enter into toxic relationships. Next, being okay, we kind of talked about this earlier, but we were saying how being single is better than being with the wrong person, and how a lot of the time, like, we kind of make being single a problem. Like, it's almost like a problem to some of us. Like, we look at it as like a burden, like, "Oh, I'm single, like I can't find someone," or like it just hasn't been working out, and we get like demoralized and discouraged because we haven't found the relationship that's going to fit us. But it's like, consider that this will really put things into perspective. Consider that sometimes it's better to be single than be with the wrong person. Like seriously. I feel like unless you've been in a toxic relationship, or you've been in a relationship where it just like wasn't working out, or like how that plays out, you really wouldn't understand. So I can understand how some people just want that experience, but let me just tell you, like, being single is better than being with the wrong person. So like alleviate some of that pressure from your dating life by just understanding that. And the next thing I want to say about leveling up our friendships, our relationships, is consider your purpose in dating and make your own plan, not necessarily relying on somebody else's plan, somebody else's opinions on dating, if that makes sense. So, what I mean by this is like sometimes, okay, people have different reasons for why they date. People have different reasons for why they want to be in a relationship. Some people want to date because they just want a companion, okay, and they just want somebody to like do things with. But they don't necessarily care about marriage. They don't care about children. You know what I mean? Then there's people that date because they want to get married. There's people that date because they want to they have bad intentions. I'm not going to go into that, but there are some people who do that. They want to exploit the other person. So consider your own purpose in dating and make your own plan and try to only date those people. I would say that's how you level up your dating life is by dating people and entering into relationships with people because they're matching like what you're looking for, if that makes sense. That's a really easy way to level up your relationships and your dating. Someone said, I be dating because I love beautiful women. See, that's you. At least you know what you're looking for. At least you know what you want to do, right? You have your own purpose. But, you know, if you want to avoid like wasting time, if you're somebody that really has some intentionality behind dating, try to only date the people that want the same things as you and just save yourself the time. Oh, by someone I'm not even gonna say that out loud, but you can go. Okay. So yeah, let me know if you guys know what I mean. Considering our purpose in dating and making your own plan so that you don't fall into somebody else's. Um, I know, right? That's why I'm blocking him. He can't join. He can't join it again because you're mean. Hold on. Now I see what people who do live streams like. I kind of have a bigger respect now for people that live stream because I see like what they have to do and it's not like it's different. First of all, it's distracting. Second of all, I'm trying to stay on topic and someone said something rude and then it's like, what do I do? But anyways, what was I saying? Leveling up our dating, leveling up our relationships. So we were talking about considering our purpose in dating, only dating people that have the same purpose, the same plan. And the next thing I want to say about leveling up our relationships, leveling up our dating life, is that a lot of our I wish that I wonder if I have girls on this live, but because I feel like women really relate to this a lot, especially when it comes to dating, is that anxiety. Okay, anxiety over dating and relationships, sometimes the root problem behind why you're having anxiety over your dating life is because you are trying to control the other person so bad. Like you are trying to control the situation. If you really take a seat back, like that's sometimes what happens when we're dating. When we have when we have this desire to control that person and we can't, we start getting anxiety. When we have desire to control the situation and we can't, then we start getting anxiety if we're really being honest with ourselves. So if you want to eliminate anxiety and create better relationships, a better dating life, you have to let go of wanting to control people, wanting to control things. And it's weird because when you think of somebody that's controlling, hold on. Something just popped up and I don't know what that means. It's happened like 3 times. Okay, I'll see if it goes away. But um so for example, right? One of the most common things about like things that bring up anxiety when we're dating, the first thing that I can think of is ghosting, right? Like ghosting brings people a lot of anxiety. I learned. And it's kind of like I don't even know. I have my own thoughts on that. But obviously somebody ghosting you can give you anxiety. But, consider this. Consider that the reason that you have anxiety over that person ghosting you is because you're trying to control them. Like, if you really accepted that basically they did that because they wanted to, because they don't want to continue their relationship, if you're just being like black and white with yourself, you would have less anxiety. But because you don't want to accept it, because you want to control them, you want to make them be different than who they are, you want to make them do something different than what it is that they want to do during that time, which is ghost you, you're trying to control them. That's what's causing you anxiety. Does that make sense? I feel like that one, like maybe I only understand that, but yeah. Okay, I've been on live for a minute, so I'm gonna get off soon. But if you're watching this, we're talking about leveling up our relationships, leveling up our dating life. And this entire live is gonna be on my YouTube channel. If you missed the earlier part, it was pretty good, if I do say so myself. But the last thing I want to say about leveling up our relationships, leveling up our dating is that the best thing when it comes to leveling up your relationships, if you feel like your relationships aren't fulfilling right now, like you're just like not happy with how your relationships are going, whether it's your friendships, whether it's your coworkers or whatever, whoever you're thinking of when you think of not being happy in your relationships, the best thing you can do to level up your relationships is to allow yourself to be yourself. Like, give yourself permission to be natural. Like, just be yourself because I see all of these videos pop up on my what's it for you page about how to get him obsessed, like, like all of this like dating niche advice and stuff. And I feel like it's entertaining sometimes, but at the same time, when you're like, someone said, hello, hello, we're talking about leveling up our relationships, leveling up our friendships in this live. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on TikTok, my YouTube is Renesita. I have a bunch of videos on similar topics. Someone said, looking forward to your next live. When do you usually go live? I mean, it's pretty random. I would say like afternoon or like lunchtime, but for example, today I tried to plan it and I couldn't even stick to it. So it is pretty random. I'm not gonna lie, but if you subscribe to my YouTube and you turn on the notification, then you will always get notified when I go live. Um, yeah, someone said, hi, hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well too. We're talking about leveling up our dating and our relationships on today's topic. And the last thing that I wanted to say, because I have been on for a while now, honestly, is that the best way to level up your dating and your relationships is to allow yourself to be natural and be yourself. Like TikTok, YouTube, dating coaches aside. Oh, we have detected. See, something popped up on my screen. One second. What does that mean? Oh, drag the puzzle piece. Oh no. Okay, one second, because I have a pop-up on my screen. Okay. I think that worked. Okay, anyways. So yeah, aside from all of this dating advice that we get on TikTok, dating advice that we get on YouTube about like, and there's even books on this stuff, like popular books, about how to basically modify your behavior, modify your looks, carry yourself a certain way so that you can get results from people. Like there's books on how to be influential, there's books on how to be more seductive, there's books on basically like all of these things giving us advice on how to get results from people. But at the same time, this is what I want to say about that. Okay, like as entertaining and fun as it can be, and sometimes it does work, what I'm going to say is that whatever games that you play to get the results that you're getting, you're going to have to keep up with those games, if that makes sense. So like you don't just, it's not like a one-time thing where like, okay, what's a good example of this? I don't want to sound too like theoretical. Like, okay, what I mean by this is like, for example, if you're changing the way you dress because you want to attract a, a certain kind of person, then you're gonna have to keep dressing that way once you get them. If you know what I mean. If you can't like be a persona for forever. Like eventually you're gonna have to be yourself. And I feel like that's a trap that people fall into sometimes, is trying to be somebody that they're not because they want something so bad. Like they're gonna put on a act, put on an air to like come off a certain way when they're not really that way. But time always tells everything. Like eventually you're going to be yourself, eventually your real self is going to like come out. So with that being said, leveling up our relationships, leveling up our dating life, why don't we just be natural? Why don't we just be ourselves from the beginning? And it's like there's nothing wrong with wanting to impress people and wanting to be our best and trying different things on here and there. But at the end of the day, you got to be natural. You got to be yourself, because if you're out there dating, don't you want to attract somebody that likes you for you? Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, let me know if you guys enjoyed this live. The whole live is going to be on my YouTube channel. So you can catch up with everything that we talked about on there. But lately I like going live more than making recorded videos on my thank you. More than making recorded videos on my channel, because it's fun going through the chat and stuff. So once I figure out how to make the live stream on YouTube look better, I'll be on there. But for now, I'll come on TikTok too. So let me know if you enjoyed this video. Let me know any thoughts you might have. If you're watching this on YouTube later, I want to hear your thoughts still if you're watching it on the recorded version. But yeah, I'm going to say bye in a second. Let me know if you have anything you want to add. And also check out all of my mentorship services on my page. I have my one-to-one, which is application only, life coaching practice. I have my 30-day mentality upgrade, which is on a discount right now. basically a 30-day program to help you up-level your self-esteem. It's a self-study program. It's just a bunch of audio every single day. One audio is released of all of these mentality shifts that will literally help you transform your inner world, which obviously helps you transform your outer world as well. I will say that most of my content is catered toward women. That's my disclaimer. And what else do I have? I have an inner work journal called Wisdom in Dark Paradise if you want to start journaling. That one is also included in my 30-day program too. So you can buy it separately or you can buy it as a part of that program. And yeah, you can find everything that I work on my page. I do more than one thing, so sometimes I forget to mention the things that I'm doing, but I'm trying to be better about that. I also have a blog, Dream Styling by Renee, on Substack, where I talk about all of these inner work kind of personal development topics, and you get them sent directly to you. So if you want to keep up with me on there, all you have to do is subscribe to my Substack and they'll get emailed to you, and then you can keep up with me in that way. And then in terms of just like my general work and my announcements, my YouTube channel, I would say is the best way to keep up with me and things that I'm doing. So definitely subscribe if you are new on there. And I think I'm going to keep going live. So make sure you have whatever, I don't know if you can do it on TikTok, but on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you have the bell so that you can see when I'm going live, okay? I'm gonna go in a minute, but this was fun. Okay, we talked about leveling up our relationships, leveling up our dating life. And yeah, thanks so much for joining. Someone said, keep it up. I will, thank you so much. All right, bye-bye. Subscribe to my YouTube. How do I get off? All right, I'm gonna end this now on my YouTube channel too. This is so funny that all of this is being recorded live because it was like a learning curve today, but yeah. I'm gonna end it now, and if you missed the beginning, definitely go and watch that. Bye.